Hello and welcome to the podcast, the Unofficial Film Club, hosted by Caroline, that's me,
and me, Andrea.
Yeah, so we're just here to discuss and analyze film using little tidbits of film theory, critical theory, literature, pop culture, and whatever strikes our fancy.
Yeah, so why Unofficial Film Club? Well, there's nothing that official about it. We're just two film enthusiasts, amateur film enthusiasts that just, we want to have a good time. We want to have, some intellectual conversation, but really at the end of the day, it's just to have fun and see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah, so without further ado, we'll get into our first ever episode of the Unofficial Film Club.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is our podcast, the Unofficial Film Club. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Caroline.
And today, in the first episode, we are going to christen the podcast by talking about Phantom of the Opera. We're going to be focusing on what we've referred to as the Freudian father complex. And yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the concept of this podcast is to look at films, mostly modern films in the last couple decades, and, analyze that with our own interpretations and try to add some sort of critical thought and analysis, just making connections and see wherever it takes us. We want to really, explore
it's
the analytical options.
A good blend of some, analysis and some critical thought and stuff, but it's with, more fun topics, and it's more free form. It's not very strict, to any kind of form or whatever.
Definitely. So our first film, as you said, Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
The infamous Emmy Rossum version.
What's his name? Gerard Butler,
Emmy Rossum.
Patrick Wilson.
Our lovely man, Patrick Wilson. And,
so we're going to focus on that version in particular today.
2004 film.
Yes, there are other versions, other interpretations, but our analysis is strictly, I think, on that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of our thoughts and analysis are derived from the music, specifically of Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah. So it's basically Andrew Lloyd Webber's interpretation of the Gaston Leroux book. Yeah. But in any case.
Okay.
Yeah. So Freudian father complex.
Yeah. let's break it down.
Yeah. So in a nutshell.
Yes.
Christine Daae is our main character of interest.
Big daddy issues.
Big daddy issues. I feel like she's such a poster child for daddy issues. Yes. If you really ask anyone who, watches movies and reads books and stuff, if you want a character who has daddy issues, I think she's high up there in the running.
Her dad died when she's really young. She, idolizes him.
Yeah, because I think she was motherless too from a young age.
Yeah, so he's the sole provider, sole caretaker, sole person in her life before Madame Giry and whatnot.
Yes. So
and the Phantom.
I guess so we should jump into a little bit of backstory, I guess. So Christine, orphaned at a young age.
Yes.
Very close to her father.
Had to watch him die because he was sick, I believe.
He was sick. He was a famous violinist.
Yeah.
So a musical family. He promised her that when he dies,
the angel of music would come down.
Yes.
And guide her and watch over her or something.
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but he's like, I'll send the angel of music to you.
Which kind of creates all the problems later in the story.
That's the problem, is this angel of music character, which obviously is referenced as the Phantom.
Yeah.
And that's
where the problem comes from, because like, the way he describes the angel of music is so vague, and it's like, does it mean that he's, like, gonna come down as a spirit, like, he's her angel of music, or is it, like, there is another spirit that is this angel, which is what the Phantom takes advantage of later. That kind of weird space, you know?
I'm not sure if there was ever actually a distinct, definitive definition for that angel that he was trying to send, but at least going from the musical and later film adaptation of Phantom, that it's the vagueness of this term and this entity that opens all the doors
for every interpretation. You know, it's just like, any way you go there, I think that ambiguous term kind of is,
that's what, like, leaves us open to all the interpretation and all the conflict of, like, who is this angel? Yeah. And, like, is it the Phantom? Yeah. Is it a real person? Is the Phantom a real person? Is he the angel of music? Is it her father's spirit? Like, what is it? Like, oh my, like, there's so many, there's a lot
different
going on.
Things it could be, and there's so many ways to interpret each, like, thing it could be. I don't know if that makes sense, but, you know.
Definitely, yeah. So, yeah, I guess the thing is, she believes it's her father before she's even met the Phantom. Yeah. So, before she meets him in person in the song Phantom of the Opera, before she meets him there and steps through her mirror into, like, this other freaking realm, like, I think she really thinks it's, like, a spirit, or, like, it's her father.
Definitely before that whole thing, she's definitely, like, gullible. She believes it's a spirit. She tells everyone, like, I think Meg asks her, and she's like, yeah, it's, like, kind of scary. Like, I think she knows something's off about it, but at that point, I think she does believe it's, like, a spirit or something.
I think she really takes this angel of music in its most literal sense. Yeah. Because he only ever speaks to her. Yeah. And
honestly, she's not at fault. She's the only one that hears it or sees, you know, or doesn't see, but she hears. It's aimed at her. No one else knows about this. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense.
This angel thing is completely personal to Christine.
Especially if it started, like, right after her dad's death, like, after he promised her. Like, it makes sense that, you know, she would grow up.
I think that's interesting that you bring that up, because I'm not sure how long this has been going on. To be honest, wow, I don't exactly remember the timeline. But if we want to just go off of the musical, I gotta stay on track, because the book is the book. But just looking at the film, it's been going on for a while. This angel has been speaking to her for a while, and
since she was young and
I'm pretty sure it's since she was pretty young. I mean,
if not, like, right after the dad's death, not that. Yeah. I think definitely when she's young, because she's still pretty young in this. She's, like, a young adult in the movie.
She's, like, about 18, I want to say. But, like, she's a young child. She comes to the opera house to be a ballerina, taken under Madame Giry, the ballet master's wing, who kind of raises her as that mother figure, this, like, all-knowing kind of person, but, like, I don't know, because, like, who...
who... I think that's a question I always have whenever I watch this. I'm like, who actually raised Christine? Like, I know technically, like, Madame Giry, but, like, there's a strong implication that the Phantom did a lot of that, too, and it's, like, weird.
I want to say that he's had a big formative influence on her as a child, because it's not like he only provided her singing lessons. I think because of the fact that she believed this was her father, it's not like the Phantom knows anything about that. He's just here trying to, like, give her singing lessons. Like, it's strangely like that. And that opens a whole nother thing about that strange dynamic that you want to assume that the Phantom has been giving her singing lessons since she was really young. Yeah. So has he always been this predatory?
That's the thing, too.
Because she's only just now become an adult.
Like, did it shift? Like, I don't... Like, at least in the movie version, I don't want to believe that he had a weird sexual, like... thing to the relationship when she was young, right?
That's what...
Like, when did it switch?
That's what's
That's
weird.
another question I always have, which adds to the weird
that Freudian father complex.
Yeah, the boundaries are blurred.
The boundaries are so blurred. It's weird. And also, like, because the Phantom's such an enigmatic character, too. Like, we never get a real sense of who he is, what his motives are, other than, like, the pure, like, basic... like his emotions, his feelings of rejection, his feelings of resentment and vengefulness, but it's not like he feels that way towards Christine, or like we don't really. I feel like other than like this general sense of like possessiveness and like desire. Yeah, I want to say mostly sexual desire for Christine. Yeah, but like I don't know how
at least at this
her.
point.
I don't really think he has a fatherly instinct towards her. I really think he just like. Kind of feels like he possesses her in a way.
Okay, because if that's so, that makes a lot more sense, and it lines up a lot with the lyrics, like, later on, too. Okay. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So then, in that case, the whole father dynamic is purely coming from Christine.
It is.
Because she's the one that conflates, like, the whole father... you know, I don't know, like, both, like, the spirit of her father, but then also probably this desire to have some kind of, like, paternal, like, figure in her life. That's so weird, though, because, I mean, duh, but, like, it's weird that the Phantom, like, takes advantage of that, and, like, later it turns into a weird sexual thing. I don't know.
Definitely. And I think that, I want to say at some point he's made aware of this fact that she believes it's like her father, because it's a thing that's talked about in the film, and how Christine talks about it to other people. The Phantom seems to know everything.
I mean, if the Phantom like can hear and like see all, know all, like he's definitely heard Christine talking to other people like all the time about how like, oh, the spirit, you know, of my father, the angel of music, like guided me and stuff. Like they all know she's on some crazy stuff, but like. He knows it too.
I think he does. I think, he's got to know because he kind of implies it with his words in, like, the lyrics.
Yeah. What song do you want to look at in particular?
There's some pretty obvious references, though he doesn't quite make a whole lot of direct ones himself. It's the other characters that do. But I think the Phantom doesn't want to express explicitly this father relationship dynamic, because at that point it would kind of ruin that facade. Like he's kind of just like, I am. He just depends on the belief of Christine, and that if he starts to bring it up and be like talking about her father as separate from him, that kind of ruins that whole image.
So you're saying that he does separate himself from the father?
Well,
or that he doesn't?
I think he does, obviously, because he's not her father. Yeah. And I know that his motives are not fatherly. Like, they don't come across as fatherly.
I think that's where, like, what we were talking about, where I think the important title that he uses is teacher.
Yes.
And I think that is what makes the difference in everything.
I think that's his main role.
Yeah, because when he says teacher, that's a clear distinction, like, I'm obviously this guiding force. I'm kind of this, like, authoritative, I don't know, figure in Christine's life, but I don't have a platonic relationship. And it kind of gives him space to operate between, like, both being, like, kind of, like, I don't know, parental, like a mentor, but then also being able to, you know, kind of
possess her.
Yeah, to possess her and use that power dynamic to his advantage, you know?
Yeah.
So I think teacher is a really important, like...
It's a crucial. Because anyone can be a teacher. Your father can be a teacher. Yeah. Your lover can be a teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that, like, by using that kind of term, it's both specific and vague, that he can exploit it in any way he wants.
It's specific in the way that it describes, like, the dynamic in the relationship, like, the difference in power, but then it's also vague because... he has no ties to any kind of, like, moral or ethical, you know...
Exactly.
You know, I don't know...
Boundaries, I guess. Yeah. Any, like, labeling, which I think is what makes it in... So, that's what makes his ability to have this, like, father lover, whatever kind of dynamic. Like, that's what makes it possible, is the fact that he doesn't acknowledge the father figure or father terminology when he speaks. And it's only ever heard from, like, other characters who are trying to tell Christine, like, this isn't your father. Yeah. This is what your father would have wanted. Like, the Phantom is the Phantom. He's just a man. Yeah. The spirit of your father. Like, this and that. Like, it's always, like, what, like, Raoul says and, like, in the cemetery scene.
And that's why Raoul is such a threat, too, because Raoul calls it out as it is. He's like, this is a creepy, like, rando, like, guy that is not your father. He's not an angel of music. He might have been your teacher, but he's manipulating you. And, like, that's just another thing. Like, him defining, like, who he is, like, and letting Christine know and, like, see past all the ambiguity and stuff. Like, that's another major threat, you know?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well,
I think what adds to that threatening aspect too, what makes it troublesome for Christine is this guilt complex. I think that the Phantom instills in her, that you can get this kind of guilt complex, like obedient desire from a teacher, from your father, you know, especially from a parent. I think that's what lends to this Phantom's power over her emotionally, is that he exploits that, like, father dynamic, teacher dynamic, you know, to guilt her into, like, you know, being his property, or to, like, listening to him.
I was there for you, and, you know, all this other stuff. So he uses, like, the guilt and the pity. Even though he hates it, he does use it. I guess he hates the pity, but he doesn't hate the guilt.
Pity. I don't think he doesn't instill pity in her, though, until the end, and that's, like, a whole other thing we could get to. But, like, just,
I think the guilt thing is definitely worthy of
the guilt is is like an integral part of this, like, in
for sure.
Masquerade.
Okay. Yeah.
/ Why So Silent. Here. These lyrics here. Is where this is especially clear.
Let's get into some textual analysis.
Let's get back to the source. He uses a tone that changed from his previous tones in Angel of Music and in Phantom of the Opera, with this encouraging tone, this kind of, like, endearing tone where he's like, oh, sing with your voice, sing for me, sing how I taught you, this and that. And then, like, when a whole lot of stuff goes down, and then she's, like, starting to branch out, and once his influence starts to lessen on her with the advent of love.
Yes.
Raoul. When Raoul enters, he's the catalyst for this breakdown in father-teacher dynamic.
Yeah, I guess he kind of, like, breaks down the I don't know, this, like, role that he's created, this, like, ambiguous role that he can both, like, exploit but also kind of, like, shift, you know. Well, I mean, we talked about that already, but Raoul kind of reveals that to Christine, so that breaks down, you know,
he steps in between that.
Yeah.
And he has to, like, stop her from, like, being, like, so, like, entranced by the Phantom.
Yeah, and so that's a threat, and so the Phantom kind of lashes out, or kind of reacts to that.
He definitely lashes out.
Definitely lashes out.
He's always lashing.
Okay, so let's look at some lyrics. Okay, yeah. So the part where he does this kind of backhanded complimenting.
Yes, in Why So Silent.
Yes, Why So Silent. That's right after Masquerade.
When the Phantom pops out in the middle of their soiree.
The Red Death.
The Red Death, with bringing his little opera, and he's like, here, I'm making the rules now. He's kind of fed up with this. At this point, like...
No more nice guy.
I mean, because he'd kind of let things go on a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, Raoul and Christine are already engaged.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gotta put a halt to this. I gotta bring her back.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, for
Definitely.
sure. Yeah, so he says... No doubt she'll do her best. It's true her voice is good. She knows, though, should she wish to excel, she has much still to learn. If pride will let her return to me, her teacher. So he's kind of acknowledging everything he said before. He's like, yes, Christina's talented and she has potential, but she can only access that potential, like, through me. Like, she needs me.
I think in this scene, he's definitely putting people back in their place.
Yeah.
And
remember what you were and what I made you to be. You know, before all these other people.
Yeah, as Regina George in Mean Girls once said, I created her. I, like, invented her.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Same thing.
Yeah, I think he's like...
Well, Phantom is Regina George.
Yes. This is a comparison between Mean Girls and Phantom of the Opera.
Comparative
I believe
essay?
it came out actually around the same time, I want to say.
Actually, yeah, because, Phantom's 2004. When is Mean Girls?
2004, I was going to say.
Oh, my God.
Whoa, we just totally came across, we stumbled upon this new comparison.
Wow.
Anyway, let's get...
Next week, comparative essay between Mean Girls. Okay, anyway.
I digress.
Yes.
So, I mean, since there was this once positive, like, affirming tone of the Phantom, that's how he butters her up. Yeah. That's how he enhances this,
he sees
this trust and reliance upon him.
He sees it's not working anymore. Gotta reassert, that you're nothing without me.
Like, honestly, you're not as good as you think you are.
But also, within that, a guilt, I think. Because, going back to the guilt thing, he's kind of like, I was the one that was there for you. I was your teacher. No one else, none of these fake people around you, helped you to be what you are today. If anything, they were working against you. And so it kind of goes back into that guilt, like, oh man, like, that's kind of true. I'm leaving him behind for all these people.
Yes.
But, obviously that's messed up, but it's within her mind, this guilt complex is really...
But it works, though, because he's really got in her brain.
Yeah.
And he knows what...
Well, he, like, groomed her for how many years?
I mean, definitely. But she's still very vulnerable, and she's still very, she's still conflicted. Yeah. So I think in a way, it's this guilt that's really instrumental in, like, getting her to depend on him, because I think she feels... Well, definitely, like, some sort of guilt or some sort of, like, she owes it to her father, because the father was like, I'm going to send you the Angel of Music so you can become a star or whatever, become musically, like, excellent. And then she's like, well, then I gotta. That's, like, my job now. Yeah. Especially since there is this quote-unquote angel that he sent me in the form of the Phantom, as she believes.
So it's a guilt
that she's like, I owe it to him to, fulfill this destiny that my father has bestowed upon me. It's like a gift in a way. And so she's being, like, ungrateful of all the Phantom's done for her.
Yeah, ungrateful to the Phantom, ungrateful to her father, who was supposed to send... Like, maybe it's not what she thought the Angel of Music was going to be, but, maybe the Phantom is the angel in this weird way, and why am I, like, ungrateful of this gift, like you said.
Definitely. And even, like, at a point, like, for example, in the cemetery scene, wishing you were somehow here again.
Yes, really explains this concept really well, I feel.
She does reach a turning point, I want to say, a pretty important one where she's, like...
It's a moment of clarity, I think, for her, for sure.
Yeah, an important moment for her. She does really realize these things, because at that point, she's really fully addressing her father. Yes. And then she, I think at that point, is finally starting to accept the fact that her father is gone, and he's not here anymore, because she's like... I wish you were here to, like, help me through these things, help me, like, forget the pain. But also she's, like, realizing that the Phantom isn't all that he's cracked up to be. Like, she says here...
I mean, this song is definitely, like... I think it illustrates what we're talking about, like, conflating the father and the Phantom. Because on one hand, it speaks to the father, obviously, like, to Gustave Daae. But on the other hand, like, you can definitely read it as, like... Definitely towards the end, where she's like, I gotta just let the past go. Like, I have to stop holding on to this belief that, like, the Phantom was this, like, great, like, guiding figure in my life, and see him for what he really is, So,
definitely.
Yeah, anyway, you were saying something.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to get into a couple lyrics here.
Yeah.
Angel or father, friend or Phantom. Like... This is...
It's pretty obvious, if you ask me, but...
It's pretty obvious, but I think it's because she's questioning herself. And I think at this point is when it's, like, really coming to light how much she believed in it and how much she conflated the two. And now she's like, she's just really, like, second-guessing it all. And I think she really realizes that he's just, you know, a human being.
Which, if I can just add something, I think in this film version, it's interesting because, or at least in Andrew Lloyd Webber's, like, world or whatever, like, it's interesting because in this song, she has this clarity and she kind of, like, sees everything for what it is. But at the end, is she as clear anymore? Or is it kind of like, ooh, she kind of, like, gave in to what the Phantom, I don't know, like.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely not the point of no return, pardon my pun, but I definitely think that comes a lot later. It's like at the finale.
Yeah.
But this is just, I think this is one of the first major
I'm just wondering if at the end you could read it as like a regression.
I mean, I don't want to say exactly regression. I think it's more of like a, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of deal, where she's like working through it, and she's always been so conflicted because she loved her father so much and everything. So it's like like I found it ironic that in the cemetery scene, how he appears in the cemetery, she's singing to the sepulcher, the like monument, and he's like in it.
Yeah.
Which I find incredibly creepy.
So creepy.
It's so weird. And he's like within the freaking like
he's
thing.
Chilling there with her
inside
dad's
the monument
body or whatever
to her, because it's like she finishes her song and then his voice comes out of the dead man's tomb.
Ooh.
And I think that's what kind of like makes her snap back a little bit, because she's like, whoa, what the hell? Like, 'cause she's singing to her father, and it's like her father in all regards, but you know, it's just him playing a trick on her as usual.
Like, yet again, he's kind of taking advantage of the whole, like, missing father thing and
definitely
kind of acting in that role, but not really, because he doesn't want to assume any kind of, like, actual, you know, parental role. You know, he still wants to be in that weird teacher-y, lover-y kind of thing. But then but he uses the dad as like a way.
Yeah, he uses the father role as a way to get her to believe in him as the teacher, as the guide.
Yeah.
Guider, the like.
Freudian.
That Oedipus complex. Okay. But yeah, some of these lyrics, right after the Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again song, it is, let's see. That's when she asks angel or father, friend or phantom. Yeah. He returns with, which is like playing off of the whole symbolism, him trying to play both roles. He's like, too long you've wandered from my fathering gaze. And at that point, he's kind of associating himself with the father. And, like, he's in the freaking monument. He's really laid it on thick, because he's, like, trying so hard to backtrack.
Yeah.
It's so late in the game, and he's like, I need her to come back.
Yeah.
I need to, like...
I need her to see me as that, like...
Yeah.
The gift that her father, like, sent out. Or, like, as her father, even, you know.
He's got to lay out all his cards.
He's laying it on real thick by... being inside the damn thing.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
The whole cemetery, everything about that is a lot. Like when he's fighting with Raoul and like, everything's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but lyrics, back to lyrics.
He sings, you resist, but your soul obeys. They sing to each other about denial, which I think is an interesting word too, because she says, I denied you, and he's singing you denied me, and they're singing it simultaneously. Yeah. And that's
interesting.
I think that's an interesting word choice, as opposed to just like, you like betrayed me, or you like, you know, kind of left me in the lurch. Yeah. It's like denial.
You wouldn't even let me even try. Like, I don't know. Can we unpack denial a little bit?
I think it implies a bit of like expectation and kind of like entitlement too.
Yeah. Back to the whole, you know,
and
Phantom
like,
and his...
feeling like you owe something.
Yeah.
The guilt.
Going back to the
guilt.
Coming
back again.
Yeah.
The whole
like,
denial
you denied me. It was in your power to give me what I wanted, and you deny me.
And it almost, like, implies, too, it's not just, like, obeying, because that would be more like you just, like, you just disobeyed me. Denial, it's almost like she had a choice.
That she had a choice, or she had any kind of power.
She had all the power, and she's like,
he totally flips it. Because in this
weird.
case, he definitely has the power. In their weird dynamic, he's definitely the one that is manipulating her and, you know, using his power to his advantage. But then, to reinforce this guilt complex, he is like, you have all the power over me.
Yeah, he's manipulating
you should grant me, like, love and, you know, marriage or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you deny me the, what is it, the sins of the flesh? What is it?
The joys of the flesh.
The joys of the flesh.
Lovely.
But, yeah, like, as if she has any power in this.
I know, which is funny because in a way she kind of almost believes she does because she, like, feels the guilt. So it's like he totally has manipulated her.
Yeah.
Love this emotional manipulation.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that women go through a lot, though, because, like, obviously, I don't know, in so many relationships, like, men have this, I don't know, they kind of use their... It's usually in cases where, like, men are, like, at a position of power over, like, a woman or something, and they'll use that and I'm trying to think of, like,
kind of twist it around.
Yeah, it's like... Even though the man is the one attracted to the woman, like, sexually, he'll turn it around and be like, you are, like, this seductress, and, like, you have all the power over me because you just use your, you know, feminine wiles to seduce
it's like,
me,
you're the one who's seducing me. It's not, like, I can't help it.
Yeah.
Like, that I'm attracted to you.
That's the point I wanted to get to.
So he's like, it's like, it's Christine's fault that he possesses her. It's this crazy thought that if you really try to, like, look at it for what it is, like, it's so ridiculous. Yet he so expertly does it,
and she believes it because she's, like, grown up with it, and then I don't know. It's it's a lot.
He's always been such an important part of her life. Yeah, that at that point, I think she does feel like she owes him something because she's given so much to him.
You know, I think that she does, like you said, kind of take, like, 2 steps forward, but then kind of in that pitying, you know, taking a step back because of that guilt, because it's so overwhelming, honestly.
I want to say that, like, the time that she switches those roles and really is in the position of power is when he's in a position of being powerless, which I think kind of is interesting because he never quite willingly relinquishes his power. At the end, he's kind of forced to. Yeah. He kind of forces himself to be like, you know, I guess I lost. He gives up. But at that point, it's still
that's supposed to be seen as, like, an act of love or something.
It's really like, weird. It's like
self-sacrifice. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like he's still being selfish and manipulative by being like, well, my life sucks. No one loves me. I'm gonna go kill myself at the end. And then she like, out of pity is like, oh, like, I'll, like, give you a kiss and give you my engagement ring as, like, some symbolic token for you to have, like, a memory of me, but I'm still going off with Raoul to get married and whatever and have a happy life. Yeah. It's still, like, interesting. Like, it's weird. He relinquishes his power as a manipulative move so that she has power, but when you still think of it, she never actually does.
She never does.
She never actually does.
It's still him operating.
It's still part of his grand scheme of getting something out of her. Yeah. Which he succeeds in, ultimately.
Yeah. And, like, I guess for him, it's kind of this, like, anguished kind of act in the end because he hates, like, getting her pity, but he still wants something from her.
Yeah, he, like, both, like, wants it and doesn't want it. I don't think, like, he wants the pity itself, but he doesn't want to be a pitiable person.
Yeah. Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of those, like, guys who are like, oh, I'm such a good guy. I, like, did so much for you. Woe is me. Like, I'm just friend zoned.
He's a nice guy.
He's a quote-unquote nice guy. Yeah. And I'm like, man.
It's like you're still a man kind of asserting some kind of power or something over a woman and manipulating her.
Yeah, this, like, power, this guilt trip, this...
Yeah. Ugh, it's like, I was so nice to you. Why? I'm entitled to something now. you know?
Yeah.
I love how he boiled down the Phantom to a nice guy. Just pick out
God.
anything that made him interesting and just like...
Yeah, definitely.
But seriously, he is.
Really, I mean, he really is a villainous person. Like, I don't want to deny his character.
He's pitiable.
He does have an interesting
sad.
Backstory.
Yeah.
He has a sad life.
Yeah.
It's sad that he lives like this.
Yeah.
But in a way, like, it's like, for one, it's sad, but then in a way, it's not anymore because he uses it against people.
Yeah.
He uses this hatred as a way to, you know, get people to feel like they owe him something.
Yeah.
Because they, like, were mean to him in the past. So he's like, well, now you owe me this.
I'm entitled to something. Like, I suffered so much. I'm entitled to something, and I will go, you know, by any means necessary to get what I want. I don't know. I think it's possible, you know, to feel bad for him and stuff, but I don't want to gloss over how villainous he is and how manipulative and, you know.
He's kind of like an anti-hero or like a... kind of like a... I don't know if he's a protagonist. Yeah. He's like pretty much the main character of the story. It's not really Christine because this is... I mean, it's called The Phantom of the Opera. I mean, it is about him. Yeah. But it's like about him, but like...
Through
other people.
Yeah.
Like it's like his impact is only through others.
Yeah, and the only ways we learn about him are through, like, others. Like, Madame Giry is the one that has to tell us his whole backstory. Yeah. And, like, I mean, that's kind of lends to, you know, he's a phantom. Like, he's never the one. There's always, like, some kind of boundary between, him as what he is.
Like Eric.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Phantom are two... It's like, at some point they were different, but they blend together, and then it's like he becomes this image he created for himself.
Yeah.
So he kind of lost the, like, humanity in it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really returns. Like we mentioned before, I don't think this,
not really a redemption.
I don't think that this end scene, this finale where he's, like, breaking down and he's, like, you know, gives up, I don't really think that's a regression back into, like, who he once was. I still, like we said before, I still think that's a manipulative tactic.
Yeah. I think so, too.
Yeah. Down Once More. Great song. Great medley.
Down once more.
That's got a lot to unpack within itself. It's not just the Phantom.
I don't know why I turned into,
and
like,
his
Bowie or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's not just about the Phantom and his like, shift in character or shift in, I don't know, behavior, demeanor, but, like, Raoul, Christine, there's a shift. Pretty important in this finale.
After Down Once More? Wow.
Yeah, within the song. Down Once More.
Yeah.
This finale, medley, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think Down Once More kind of illustrates perfectly what we're talking about. That how he uses that pity. It's, like, still a manipulative thing. Because he's like, oh, that's... like, oh, the prison of my mind, and, like, oh, you know, like,
he's like,
my abhorrent phase, and, like, okay, we get it, like, we feel bad, but he's totally, like, this is his last chance to, like, squeeze out any of that guilt out of Christine to get her to do something for him. It's, like, really desperate attempt, you know, like, this is it. I gotta just let it all out. Like, the darkness.
Just the language he uses. It's obviously he's trying to get, you know, this reaction out of people. But, like, I don't think it's that honest, really, to be perfectly honest. To be honest, it's not honest. But no, he's like, this fate which condemns me to wallow in blood has also denied me the joys of the flesh. He says, this face, ... which poisons our love...
Which doesn't exist.
Which, I mean, that's a bit presumptuous of you. He's like, what love? Anyway,
because there wasn't a platonic love. He never acknowledges it like that, and there's never a romantic sexual love because Christine never reciprocates. So, like, what are you talking about?
It just is like his own mind. Yeah. It's his own constructions that everyone's like, what? Whoa. Yeah. What are you talking about?
We're definitely in the depths of, some insanity here.
Most definitely. Pity comes too late. Turn around and face your fate. See, at that point, because he's like, obviously he's referencing the pity, but then he's like, you know what, your pity, he's like, though you might be feel pity towards me, I'm going to throw that back in your face because it's too late. I'm going to keep you here forever. Whether you like it or not, here's your face, an eternity of this before your eyes. And then she's like, well, I'm over it now.
Yeah, he's kind of like, your fate is to always be under my control and manipulation. Like, even in this, he's manipulating her. I don't know.
Yeah, it's this strange dynamic because in a way he's manipulating her. But then she kind of has this change too because she's like, this haunted face holds no horror for me now. And she's like, you pitiable man. She's like, all the tears I might have shed grow cold and turn to tears of hate. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But then he's like, too late for prayers and pity. So it's like he doesn't want their pity anymore. Like it's just he's like he's like a dying animal lashing out in every which way. It's just this insane mix.
Ooh, I love side note, Raoul's little part here where he's being strangled.
Raoul, he really goes for it all. Gotta appreciate that. Raoul is dedicated.
Let's talk about how great Raoul is.
This has nothing to do with our decided topic today about, Oedipus complex and Phantom, but Raoul's just a good guy.
Raoul's just a good guy that just wants the best for Christine. This is the only, this is the best form of love in the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Gosh, let me look up some lyrics here.
He's definitely a foil for the Phantom.
Yeah.
He is...
Yeah, where like, the Phantom kind of exists in this, like, dark and ambiguous space. Like, Raoul is definitely this light in Christine's life that illuminates all these, like, crazy things that are happening.
This, like, figurative light versus dark, right versus wrong. But also, it's interesting, too, because the Phantom goes through lots of changes. His tones, the way he speaks to her, the way he feels towards her, it shifts a lot. Like, he's a dynamic character. He's kind of, like... He's a bit unexpected. But Raoul is not. Raoul is...
Steadfast.
He is, he
sticks
to his word.
He's like, I'm going to protect you. This is what we're going to do.
Yes.
Up to the end.
He's honest.
Yes.
He's dedicated.
Yeah.
Unflailing in his love.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Whereas the Phantom is just all over the place.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll be, like, dedicated and I'll love you forever. And he's like,
Yeah. He, like, gives and takes and gives and takes.
Yeah.
And it's all to get some sort of reaction out of Christine.
Yeah. I mean, because he's not stable. Christine's not stable. Raoul's the only stable one.
Raoul's, like, the only stable one in this trio here.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it makes sense. He lived, a somewhat privileged life, but emotionally, it's also his character. Yeah, his character,
his morals and whatnot. Yeah. But, like, you really think that Christine belongs with an equally, if not more so, unstable, conflicted person? No. I don't think so. No.
That's not what I'm arguing.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, if anything, I think she needs...
To all those Christine Phantom, shippers out there,
you're wrong.
You're wrong. You don't have their best interests at heart. Yeah, Raoul's a bit of a good choice. He's a safe bet.
A fop.
As it were. But
ultimately he's the best choice because Christine needs that stability. Obviously, she's not completely unhinged like the Phantom. She's just been led astray.
She's just indecisive.
Yeah.
She is being pulled and swayed by two men, neither of them her father.
Yes.
Gotta make that clear.
Where is her father?
And so, where's, your dad? But, the point is that they're both fighting over her because she needs to be convinced. She's asking both of them to convince her.
Yeah, and I think that's what the whole, that end part, the
end part is definitely... Yeah. Well, yeah, because, the Phantom, he's
at once she's kind of asking the Phantom, so what are you going to do? In your desperation to have me, what are you going to do? And then, but that's also, a challenge for Raoul, too, especially a point of no return. That whole thing where Raoul's, crying, basically.
Yeah, because she's, somehow, trapped in the Phantom's pull.
Yeah.
But then once they get down to the dungeons and then once Raoul comes to save her, she's back at it, who do I go with? And then the Phantom's trying to force her, and then he's trying to force her by having her make this impossible choice, so if you choose to stay here with me, Raoul goes free, but if you choose Raoul, he dies. So, you lose both ways, which is pretty obvious.
You never get Raoul. It's only ever me. Duh.
As Raoul says, let me find it.
The Phantom, Eric never sacrifices anything.
Raoul
sacrifices everything.
Sacrifices anything. It's he has all the power. And, it's just... Yeah, as Raoul says something on the lines of... either way you choose, he has to win.
Yeah, gosh, I forgot the exact lyrics, but yeah, I think that's exactly what he says.
I'm pretty sure that's it. I've listened to that song so many times, I should know it at this point.
Gosh, what is that? Point of no, what?
But what's an interesting, dynamic brought up, too, within that trio is the way that Raoul and the Phantom approach this ultimatum. The Phantom's I gotta win. It's all about what I get out of this.
Yeah.
I don't care about putting Christine through this pain.
Yeah.
Just so I can have what I want. Yet Raoul's instantly, he's well, this is a horrible choice. Either way, he's gonna win, and not me, and not you.
And actually, kill me so that you can actually have some kind of a life. I'm sorry you have to make this choice. Yeah. Just do it. Everything in him is just he says, I'm sorry, I have to die.
I know, he's
that's crazy.
I did all this for nothing.
I'm so sorry.
Don't throw your life away for my sake. Yeah. I fought so hard to free you. The Phantom, at this point, he's all just
it's all about possessing
you've passed the point of no return. He's your choice is just all about me. And I think that's the fundamental difference between the two of them is that he's all about what he gets out of that relationship. Raoul's all about what Christine wants.
Yeah. And even to that degree, I would say that even him teaching Christine and stuff, it's still for him to be look at this thing I created, look at my creation.
Because it's the possessiveness, this whole idea that her success rides on his influence, and it's owing to his influence, and it's
in
really
turn,
just
it's his success.
It's really just his success, yes, and
she just becomes a vessel for that, the vessel for everything. She's the one that I will love and will love me. She's the one that will be on the stage and be performing and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that whole part of the Why So Silent masquerade scene where he's saying, I'm the one who taught you. You must put your pride aside and come back to your teacher. And also kind of in the beginning after...
you thought you could be your own autonomous self, in the world like this? You have to come back, Yeah. I let you play for, a second, but you're mine.
And this is actually kind of earlier, too. After her performance of the one she sings in her debut...
Think of Me?
Think of Me. Mm-hmm. After that, she goes into, like, her room, and then he comes out to, like, talk to her, and he's like...
the Phantom.
Yes, the Phantom. He's
in
the
mirror. This is like their first
I think this is
meeting.
Angel of Music. Believe it's that. Yes.
Angel of Music or Phantom of the Opera? In sleep you say.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like Angel of Music, where he's like, the beginning words, he's like, insolent boy, this slave of fashion.
Yeah.
Basking in your glory. Referring to Raoul, because Raoul's like...
Yeah. Saying that Raoul is, like, the manipulative one that's, you know,
I think it's, like, obviously he's talking about himself, but using Raoul.
That's some projection there.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, obviously he doesn't give a crap about what Raoul thinks, but he's just, like, using it... Like, he's identifying with that. But anyway, he's like... This guy... He's, like, basking in your success. Mm-hmm. And he's, like, so offended by that. And he's, like...
Yeah.
And then, like, later on...
It's actually my success.
Yeah, in a way, you can all just bring this back to, like, he's mad that everyone else is reveling in the success that he has created and he has put forth. And, like, he talks about, like, you made my song take flight.
Yeah. That's Angel of Music. Yeah, that is.
That's Angel of Music.
I'm pretty sure,
and he's, like... I need your voice to make my music. That's why he needs her, because he doesn't have a voice to...
Yeah.
Because he...
Oh, no, that's Music of the Night?
That's Music of the Night, yes. Because the thing is, like, he wants his music to be shown. I think that's his true desire.
Yeah.
Is his music.
He wants his music to be shown, but then, because he has to do it through Christine, he's also, like, mad and possessive when others acknowledge her and, like, and when she gets that success.
Says, turn your face away from the garish light of day, turn your thoughts away from cold and feeling light, which I think is, like, that's just a beautiful, poetic, like, kind of metaphor there, like, this coldness
of the light.
The garishness of light into the nighttime. I just love that poetic. This is such a beautiful song.
As mad and awful as he is,
he does write some good music. Yes. Yeah, but, like, the whole point is of him finding her, seeking her out, grooming her, owning her, guilt-tripping her, is that she will owe him her voice.
Yeah.
To, quote-unquote, make my song take flight.
Yes.
And that's what she owes to him.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, also, if he's like, well, there's no purpose in my life other than to, like, create this music and, by extension, you know, have you in my life, then, like, he doesn't exist anymore, basically,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because he doesn't really. He's just a menace to the whole opera house.
Yeah.
He's just wreaking some havoc, but he's not really making any lasting damage. Yeah. And that's only possible through his music.
Yeah.
Being
Which is why
shown.
At the end he's like, well, I'm gonna die, like, either way. Because, like, without Christine, he doesn't exist anyways. He's just, you know, nothing. He can't exist in the world without her. And
I think that's brings it back to this whole Angel of Music thing. You could theorize that the man, Eric, as he's the Phantom, he's become this projection of other people. Yeah. He doesn't exist in the real world anymore. Yeah. Ever since he was, like, taken to the opera house to live.
He was taken and brought under.
Eric died. That day.
I mean, yeah.
But for real, like, his persona changed. Yeah. He becomes this Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. He doesn't interact with people. He doesn't, you know, form relationships. He's completely alone in his own world of his own creation. Exactly. He just doesn't exist on the same plane as everybody else.
Exactly.
And so he's just withered away to this, like, to this voice, this, you know...
Yeah. He, like, doesn't physically exist.
He really doesn't. And and therefore he needs Christine to make him exist. Yeah. And that's why he uses her, you know, her desire for him to be this angel that he's like, oh, now I'm given a purpose. Now I'm given an existence that's an
existence that doesn't have any kind of like physical form, like we said.
But it's still validated nonetheless through Christine.
Yeah.
And you could argue through the other people who believe in him as this person wreaking havoc or whatever. I don't know. Like, everyone else is like, yeah, there is a guy here who's like, you know, just messing around. But
through their whole like myths about him and stuff, he
exists in the myths.
Yeah, he kind of takes some kind of shape. Yeah, from that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs that. He needs that. And once, at the end when Christine chooses Raoul over him, he's resigned to his fate. He's like, I don't exist anymore. I'm going to go away forever.
That was my last opportunity to exist. Or if not to exist in that world, to bring Christine down and kind of make this a plane of existence, like you said, real. You know, if it's either he's got to be elevated in some way to our plane of existence or make his real.
Yeah. Like at the very end, his last kind of lines in Down Once More, when he decides that he says, referring to Christine, you alone can make my song take flight. It's over now, the music of the night. And then he disappears behind the mirror, behind the curtain, never to be seen ever again. So he just disappears. Yeah. He doesn't exist anymore.
He's a phantom! But yeah,
he ceases existing once Christine's made the definitive decision of Raoul.
Yeah, and that's why he's so desperate, you know, beyond the whole, like, love, whatever you want to say. Beyond that whole thing, it boils down to that's his last chance to exist in the world.
He's dependent on her.
Which I guess...
being dependent on him.
Yeah.
And that his existence is all dependent on this relationship with Christine. And once she's no longer dependent on him, she no longer cares, or... no, I don't want to say doesn't care about him, but she just doesn't choose him.
Yeah. Because she doesn't want to just be, you know, the host for this parasite, you know, or something like that.
Yeah. She's not. She, like, becomes her own person, and she's,
I'm not just here to make you exist in the world. Like, I gotta exist in the world as myself.
Yeah, and, like, she never needed to be created. She's always existed, but he needed to be created. Yeah. He needed to be given form. His he's like his music. He's like, I need the music to take form needs somebody to like put it into the world above.
And through this reading, I guess in this way, you might be able to understand why, beyond the whole manipulation, why he sees Christine as having the power over him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, to understand his mind.
In a way, there's another interpretation of it where Christine really does have all the power.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of ways to look at this in terms of just power dynamics. They both have a lot of power in any way you read it. It's just between them two.
But still, I think, because we're talking about the whole Freudian father complex dynamic thing, I think in this way, I think it goes with what we were saying earlier, though, that he definitely has the power in this situation and manipulates her.
Yeah. By
existing in this weird, ambiguous space where he's not father, not, I don't know, angel, like teacher. Like teacher, back to teacher.
Teacher.
Yeah.
I think you could almost think of it, too, in a way where that's like, that Christine's power of, like, where he depends on her to make him exist is the overarching, like, umbrella of power. But within that, it's like, you kind of put that aside. So once she's dependent on him, she puts aside that power in a way that, like, now he has all the power that we kind of talked about before, where, like, he's, like, emotionally manipulating her.
Yeah, she's already assumed the role.
She makes him dependent on him. At that point, she's relinquished this power.
Yeah.
She's still, like, she has the potential for it, but she relinquishes it because he kind of, like, entrapped her in that. And now he's like, okay, now I have all the power now. And then
it's
eventually...
like, okay, you're finally doing it. So now, let me take back the power and control what's going on here.
Yeah, so exactly. It's like only ever like one of them can ever have all the power at once. It's they both can have power, but it's never simultaneous.
No.
Because then it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So like in order for him to exist how he wants to be, then she has to give up that choice, which she kind of never really realized she had until the very end. And then she's like, you know what? I'm gonna make the choice here, and it's gonna be my way, and it's not gonna be what the Phantom wants of me. And then she completely destroys all the power that he ever had over her, and she's like, you know what? I have all the power in this dynamic now.
Yeah, she gets it back by letting him not exist, like we were saying.
Exactly.
That's
how that works out.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting on an hour. Just about 59 minutes. This has been quite a ride.
Yeah, I think that was good.
That was fruitful for our first endeavor into this.
Yeah,
kind of
had a vague idea of where we wanted to go. We went through it, got somewhere else, and then went back to it. So
this is interesting. There's some thoughts here that we hadn't even thought about before, and like we've talked about Phantom a lot because gotta love Phantom.
Gotta love it.
We love Phantom.
Listen to that soundtrack all the time, you know.
Yeah, it's just a great story, a great musical.
The music itself, like you could talk about how the music lends to the story in so many ways.
Much.
You know?
There's so much to say.
Yeah, and we focus a lot today on like the narrative itself and how the lyrics and text lend to that.
Yeah.
But there are things even within, you know, the cinematography and stuff, obviously.
There's a lot to go in. We could totally write a dissertation on this. But, you know, for brevity's sake, this is all we're going to say about this for the moment. But, yeah, it's been fun.
It's been fun. Yay. First episode down.
Yay. First episode of podcast.
Yeah, thank you for listening. So far, and we hope to get a new episode out next time. So
join us next time, the next installment of the Unofficial Film Club podcast, episode 2. We gotta figure out what that's TBD. Stay tuned for our next installment.
Bye.
But yeah, bye.